In the last 5 years, political parties in India have received donations worth more than 9,000 crore rupees. Are you entitled to know where those donations came from? That's the question that's coming up before the Supreme Court of India in the Electoral Bonds case, and it's going to have far-reaching impact on the elections that are coming up both in states and the centre. Here is my breakdown on prime time as to why that's going to happen and what that case really means. You're with me, Faye D'Souza. Now, there's a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court of India that is going to begin hearing a batch of pleas challenging the validity of the electoral bond scheme in the country, which is basically political funding for political parties. Now, the important thing to remember about this case is that it has been pending for 8 years for a hearing, and it's now going to come up for hearing. So if we're hoping for a decision on this, and any decision that the court makes will have a massive impact really on the upcoming state elections and the upcoming central government elections. Now, let me tell you first of all what an electoral bond is. Now, this is a scheme that was launched back in 2018. Now, with the aim of the scheme is to clean up political funding and to make sure that all political funding that's given to political parties is actually not black money and cash, but really money that's moving through the banks. And it sounded like a great idea when it came up, because the idea was to introduce transparency and reduce black money. Now, this is exactly the reason why it has been brought before the Supreme Court on the accusation that it doesn't bring in any transparency and makes things worse. Now, this is how an electoral bond functions. Any citizen of India or any corporate or a company in India can go to a bank and buy a bond and give the money to the bank. And that in the name of a political party, the political party, they can cash that bond and take the money from the bank on the other side. Now, that is how it works. Now, the question really has been about whether or not information about who is making those donations should be available in public domain to the citizens. And like I said, anybody can buy electoral bonds. The money can come in from anywhere as long as it comes in via a company that's registered in India. Now, any political party that's registered as a political party in India can receive that money. What is the problem with electoral bonds? Now, electoral bonds do not record the details of the transaction despite the KYC period of the buying period. The information is kept confidential by the bank. Now, this is according to a story in the Quint. The only exception can be made by demand of a court of law or an enforcement agency. So one of the petitioners in this case has actually claimed that 12,000 crore rupees has been paid to political parties so far, and 2/3 of that amount has gone to one major political party, which is the BJP. And basically the argument here is this. It basically says that if there's a large amount of money being given to a political party before an election, can we conclude that that political party is likely to make decisions once they come into power that favors the person who gave them that donation? Now, this is how politics works around the world. But in many places around the world, that information is made public. So you, for example, as a citizen, before you vote for some political party, you can actually look up information to find out where the money has come from and are they likely to decide in the favor of this company in the future. Now, in India, we don't have that ability because that information is not given to us. It's not made obvious to us. So we don't know which individual or which company has given this political party or any political party money. And so we don't know where they're likely to be leaning in the future to make those decisions once they come into power. Let's talk about the kind of money that is actually at play here. Electoral bonds, according to Association of Democratic Reforms, and I must tell you, ADR is one of the petitioners in this case. Now, according to ADR, generated donations of 9,188 crore rupees in this last term, of which ADR says BJP got more than 57%, so nearly 60%. The next was Congress at just 10%, so a massive difference there. And after that, all of the other political parties. So the BJP received 5,272 crore rupees. The Congress received 952 crore rupees, and then the rest went to other parties. There's also a story that says State Bank of India has reportedly sold a total of 1,148 crore rupees worth of bonds in October alone, before the big election that's coming up in the next 2 months in the state governments. In fact, the highest amount of those sales happened in the Hyderabad branch, incidentally. Remember, Telangana, also a very interesting state from a point of view of elections. This is according to a report in the Indian Express. Now, Prashant Bhushan is one of the advocates appearing in this case. He has said that he is glad that the court has finally fixed a hearing, and he believes that the electoral bonds, the case goes to the very root of our democracy, which is why it has to be decided immediately. Now, what has the government said? The Attorney General of India spoke to the Supreme Court, and before the Supreme Court, it said the government of India has said citizens are not entitled to this information under the right to information under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution regarding the source of funds, because they say that political parties needn't disclose that information before the citizens of the country. So that is really the question that's going to come up before the Supreme Court. Hearings have begun, and it's going to be a very interesting debate, because to find out, this is a lot of money flowing in, whether you as a citizen are entitled to that money or not. That's what we're going to be watching the Supreme Court to find out. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, do leave us a comment section. You tell me whether you believe that as a citizen you should be entitled to that information or not. And if there is any other story that we can actually break down for you, please do so. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. For more news and updates, download the Beetroot News app from the App Store and the Play Store.